Hello everyone. So in the first part of our project, we talked about Node-Red, and that was the final result we got. So before moving to the simulation and code, I want to clarify just one thing here. We should change the range of the gauge to 0, 100 instead of 10 here, because in our case we have three buttons 0, 15, and 100. Now we move to the simulator. First thing we do is to choose the board we will be using. So in our case, it's the ESP32. And then here we can add the components we want. In our case, it's the servo. Now we have the ground of the servo. The power, and finally the data that we will link to D5. Now, before writing the code, I will add the libraries that we will need in this project. So first we have pub PubSub client, and then ESP32 Servo. Now that we added the needed libraries, we can write the code. Well, the first part of the code will be including the libraries and then declaring the variables we'll be using. For example, here for the router credentials, here because it's just a simulation, we will be using these credentials. After that, we have the settings of the MQTT broker. Also here, in our case, we'll be using this MQTT server. After that, we add the topic. It is the same topic we used on the Node-Red flow. And the void setup will initialize the serial communication, attach the servo to the pin 5 that we used here, and then set the MQTT broker server and port, and finally set the callback function. Here we have the setup Wi-Fi. This function will connect the Wi-Fi network using the provided credentials. We have the callback function that will process the incoming MQTT messages and control the servo motor in case we had the chosen topic. So here it will verify if it is the chosen topic, and then it will set the position of the servo using the map function. That's why we used 0, 15, and 100 in the Node-Red buttons, because we will map here the values 0% to 0 degree and 100% to 180 degree. And we have the reconnect function that will attempt to reconnect the to the MQTT broker in case the connection was lost. And finally, we have the void loop function, where we will check MQTT connection and process incoming messages. Here, before going to the simulation, we can just modify the colors of the wires to make a difference between them. Here, the red for the power wire. And finally, we can go to the simulation. We run the simulation and then we go to the Node-Red Dashboard. So the link to the Node-Red Dashboard, we can copy the URL to the flow and then add /UI. And here we have our dashboard. And now we have our dashboard here and the simulation on the other side. So we can choose the position 0 and then 50%, and finally 100%, and go back to 0. So to sum up, in this project, we installed the Node.js so as to be able to install Node-Red and use the Node-Red dashboard. We installed the Node-Red dashboard module to use its elements. We created a tab IoT1 containing one group Servo 1, which includes 3 buttons and a gauge to control the servo connected to the ESP32. We created the schema for the simulation and wrote the code for the ESP32. And for the code, you can find it on this project. I will put the link to the project on the first comment.